REI Co-op presents a mini mindfulness break. Take a deep breath in, picture yourself on a mountain. As you hold your breath, look down at your skis, freshly waxed thanks to your REI membership, carving through powder like a knife to warm butter. Breathe out slowly, let the air leave your lungs, like you'd leave your local co-op with all the gear, clothing, classes, and advice you could hope for. Make time to opt outside. REI.com.
The new year is the perfect time to start fresh. So why not make it delicious? Start your day with Bob's Red Mill 100% whole grain oats. One simple ingredient with endless possibilities. Whether you're a sweetness savorer or a good health guru, with Bob's Red Mill, you can have a naturally delicious breakfast made your way. So savor your mornings with premium oats, perfected by nature and made to be shared. No matter how you top your oats, you're always welcome at our table. Look for Bob's Red Mill oats in the blue bag.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, I'm going to clear up why your wife hates Monday morning quarterbacking of sex and what that means. And before that, I'll tell you to subscribe. My most recent subscriber episode was on associative learning and why not to have sex when your wife is nauseous. And there's about 190 other subscriber episodes. And this one had funny anecdote from my own life, which you guys seem to like. So definitely should listen to that and all those other hours of content. For $8.99, I feel very confident in saying that is the most cost-effective possible way to engage in self-development around relationships. Okay, so a lot of guys do this thing if they're preoccupied attachment, which is like the biggest turnoff that has ever been created. I mean, one of them, right? And so where they, after they have sex and she's no longer in the mood, she's no longer aroused, it's frequently the next day, or it's at least like, you know, after she's already had an orgasm, possibly when she's trying to go to sleep. It's just basically when she's not aroused, so she's not having sex anymore, so she's not in the mood to have sex because she's not having sex. She's in her refractory period. She's all done, right? Or it's the next day when she could not be anything further from aroused because it's literally the morning and she's, you know, trying to have her coffee in peace or whatever she does. And then the guy's like, hey, like, didn't you like last night? Last night was really great. You know what I liked in particular was like when you got on top. And it's like, oh, like read the room, you know? Guys will tell me that they say this in therapy and it's like their wife starts like twitching. Like she's like, it's awkward all over again. She could barely sit there through him saying, you know, I mean, like sometimes in therapy, obviously people have to tell me what they do in bed, right? Because like that's sex therapy. Like we're talking about them improving their sex life, right? So we have to talk about stuff, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when the guy brings this stuff up and then sometimes asks for like feedback, like about what he did, you know, and that really is at the heart of the whole thing. So the guy will say, if he has no insight, no self-awareness, so not an avid Dr. Psych Mom listener, and not in therapy, he'll be like, no, I'm just trying to like, you know, aren't I supposed to like figure out what she likes and doesn't like so I could be a better lover? That's not all he's trying to do. He's also reassurance seeking that what he did, that some of it was good, that she in fact liked it. He's scared that maybe she didn't like it as much as he thought that she liked it. Maybe, God forbid, he even thinks she was faking. Or he wants, it's basically a covert contract, to use a manosphere term, that she's going to have sex again because if she said that she liked this thing that he did, well, then basically she wants to do it again. Doesn't she? Doesn't she? Doesn't she? And what time of day and what date will she, in fact, want to do it again often becomes the next question. So this is about, it's like an anxious employee asking for a performance review from the boss. That's the tone of it. And she is not aroused anymore. She finds this conversation to be like if you sober up and your friend friend is still drunk and they're still trying to make jokes with you like you're both drunk, and you're like not laughing because it's not funny anymore. The same things that felt funny when you were drunk aren't funny when you're sober. You're in a different physiological, mental, and emotional state, and you're like, ew, like this person is drunk, now I got to deal with this shit, right? And you're in a different headspace completely physiologically. Also, the woman is picking up on the covert contract part and the reassurance seeking part, and both of those are just indicative of an anxious person who is trying to kind of rope you into something that you don't want to do, whether it's delivering a stream of reassurance, which is like the least sexy thing in the whole world to do, or basically saying that they will do X activity again because they liked X activity. So, but then you may say, well, I do though want to know like what she likes in bed, right? Well, there's multiple ways to do that. One of them is very abstract. So it's like doing the erotic blueprints quiz or listening or sharing one of my posts or podcasts, like especially the ones on being more dominant in bed, which is what the anxious guys really have to work on. You know, so if you send her something, not all the time, like literally like once every 3 months, I'll say you could send her something, you know, and or you say, oh, let's sit down and do the erotic blueprints quiz together, and assuming that you're not literally in therapy for being a preoccupied attachment guy who's obsessed with connection and she's the avoidant partner and she's trying to push away from you. In that case, you've got to get into therapy. Stop sending her shit. Stop with the quizzes. That's a you thing, not a her thing. Every time you do that, she takes it like, my God, another goddamn thing, another way that he's seeking reassurance, and it just makes her pull away even more. But let's say you're in a healthy relationship, which many of my listeners actually are in healthy relationships, and they tell me their marriage is good, and listening to this makes it even better. Great. So if you are in a healthy marriage where you are having sex and you do feel connected, then do some like little fun things like that, like quizzes and talks. I've told you guys that I use the Paired app myself. I don't get any kickback, unfortunately, for recommending the Paired app, Paired, but you can get that too. It gives you little questions every day for your relationship. You certainly don't have to do it every day, but they're there and they give you little prompts, and that's cute. And a lot of them are about sex, or some of them are. Or any of my posts or podcasts. If you're in a good place in your relationship, then it will not be taken as a gauntlet thrown down for you to initiate a question about like, oh, let's take the erotic blueprints quiz, or read this post about like foreplay. Like, do you think that, you know, we're good in that domain or whatever? So that's like the abstract way. Don't do it when the kids are around. Obviously, do it when you're kind of relaxed. It could be even a date night thing, or you could go to a coffee shop and do it together when the kids are in school or whatever. So that's like one way, is like sex is totally not around. You're not talking about any sexual encounter you've had. It's basically all in the let's get to know each other better sphere. The other way is in real time while she's aroused. You say, show me what you like. I have a whole post about this. Show me 2 words to unlock your wife's sexual potential. And I think I must have done a podcast on it too. So in the moment when she's aroused, ask her to tell you and show you what she likes. Now, what do neither of these things have in common? Or rather, what do both of these things have in common? And what do neither of them include? They do not include a review of what you are currently doing. Because let me tell you something depressing. Sit down so you don't fall down, right? She may not like anything that you do. Oh my God, you know, wow, stop the presses. It's true. She may not really like anything you do, but if she is a reasonably high or even averagely high libido woman, she can have an orgasm with anything, you know, anyone. And so she knows her own body. Awesome girl power. And so she may not like anything you do, but she may love you, find you attractive. But honestly, your sexual style leaves a lot to be desired. Maybe you're a sexual blueprint. She's a kinky, or she's a sensual, or whatever. And y'all just, you do not have technical proficiency in the ways that she wishes that maybe you did. Even if she can't even verbalize what she wishes, she just knows that whatever you're doing, doing, it's not ideal. It's kind of an elephant in the room in her mind that you're not very good at these various things. And so, but she loves you anyway, and she's still young enough or invested enough to have sex anyway, right? This is more women than you think, right? And especially if she's not had a lot of experience and or she's a passive people pleaser or avoidant of any conflict, then she never really told you what she liked better because she didn't know. And she doesn't really think of men as like they have like the ability to learn a whole different sexual style. She just thinks the man is what he is, basically like his personality, like you can't change a guy's core personality. And you can, like that's what literally therapy does. You could take somebody who thinks that they're always going to be like rejection sensitive as a core part of their personality. Then after therapy, they're not, right? But and of course, sex can be learned. We have all these videos by Heather, our sexologist, right? Just go to bestlifebehavioralhealth.com, look for videos, right? And they teach men sexual technique and women. We have oral sex for both, and we have the female pleasure one, whatever. Point being, of course, you could learn how to be better in bed, but what guys do as like this key bad thing is they're basically with the Monday morning quarterbacking, they're like, basically tell me what you like the best out of what I did and commit to doing it again. And a lot of women, so some women are in the bucket where they did like something, but they just feel it's kind of gross and awkward when they're not aroused to talk about sex. That's like, I don't know, probably 90% of women that are long married feel like that. Maybe. It has nothing to do with high libido, by the way. You could be totally high libido, but also think it's kind of gross to talk about sex when you're not aroused. That's like a difference between men and women. I'm always teaching you those, so there's another one. But also, and this is, again, unfortunately, far more women than you would imagine, they don't like anything that he does, really, particularly in bed. So talking about any one thing is almost like, cringe, as the kids say. Like they don't like any of it. They like, basically, what do they like? They like the part where you take out the vibrator at the end. That's what they like. And I urge you to be completely open to this idea, because this may have been the bottleneck in all of your prior attempts at communication about sex and attempts at getting feedback, is that she may not like really anything that you do. And so when you ask her to choose, there's like a logical fallacy inherent in the question. She doesn't like any of it. So this is particularly, again, true with women who are more conflict avoidant, who have less sexual experience, and who have given you overall less feedback in bed, even in the honeymoon stage, even when she's aroused, even when she's drunk. She does not talk and tell you what you are doing is good or how to do something differently. This may be because she does not picture that you could change in the core ways that she would need. So what's an example? Sometimes men are very soft and trepidatious, especially when they are this gentleman eunuch type that I talk about, where they want to be Mr. Romantic because they were trained. Just listen to my gentleman eunuch podcast. But guys who are trained that like other guys are aggressive assholes and douchebag bros, and so they're going to be like Prince Charming. Yeah, well, Prince Charming is usually doing this like soft little stroking and caressing that makes a lot of women feel like they want to vomit. And so, but they don't know how to say that. It seems like such a core endemic part of the man's character that like, how could you possibly criticize it? They don't picture that they could just say to the guy, only touch me harder. No, harder than that. No, harder than that. It seems like it's part of his personality, like as though they were to say to him, just be more assertive, How could you just be more assertive? It's of course you could try and you could try to work on that, but most people, they marry somebody, they try to accept the person. And so a lot of women accept, okay, well, maybe that rough stuff is just in like 50 Shades of Grey or like romantic movies. Maybe I wouldn't even really like it, and this nice guy is so great. So he touches me like, like he's doing some tiny little art project involving Q-tips and cotton balls or something with this gentle, conscientious thing. And, it's probably a me problem, and there would be no way to change it anyway. So this is just what sex with him is, so I think I'm just going to like limit foreplay so he doesn't have a chance to touch me in these soft ways that I find repugnant. And then we'll move to the main event, and then I'll use my vibrator, and then I'll, be done. Good. And so it's basically like how some women think, right? And so I hear more than anybody because I'm a therapist, right? So then people tell me things in individual sessions about how they feel about their sex life. And then I could see patterns. And this one where the guy does things that are too soft is a very, very big turnoff to a lot of women. But it's also the one that women think is most unchangeable because they think it's like his voice or something. Like the way that he engages is like his voice or his height or something that he cannot change. So why would they bring it up? Because and it does. It represents usually the way that very anxious men interact in bed. So it is linked to an aspect of his personality. They're right. So they say, oh, he's like anxious. So he's kind of like anxious and careful in every regard. Unfortunately, I don't find that to be a turn on at all. But like, that's his personality and he's a good guy. And I love him. So like nobody has any nefarious motives. There's no bait and switch or like any crazy shit that people think on the internet. But point being is if you keep asking her then after that encounter what she liked most, it's like she doesn't want to literally lie and she didn't like anything. And the whole conversation is awkward. So she's going to be like, I don't like to talk about sex when we're not having sex, right? And that's true. And so then you never learn that one component of why she won't answer is because she doesn't like anything. And the way that you do. And so then the way that you can figure that out is by moving the conversation, opening it up into a frame where the sample of things that she's going to respond to does not just include the things that you do. It includes other things too. So that's like the erotic blueprint quiz. That's like my article on being more dominant. That's like all my posts and podcasts on foreplay or Heather's videos or really any resource that you could come up with that has other things. And so again, the abstract things can be when she's feeling kind of good about stuff or it's like a date night and it's like a totally separate sort of thing, or in bed itself, it's show me what you like. Tell me how to touch you. You see how those things do not, they don't have in them the idea that you may be doing it right already. That's like nowhere there. That's not even an option. You're not giving a multiple choice test where all of the options are shit that you've already done. You are giving what's it called? What's the other one? A short answer test or an essay test where you are not limiting her options based on your technical limitations, which you can, of course, learn not to have limitations. But she doesn't know that. All right. I hope that this was life-changing as per usual, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. Bye, guys.